Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are when you hear the sound of my voice. Thank you for listening to my presentation. My name is Leah Graham. I am a student at Los Angeles Pacific University and I am enrolled in Psych 325 Learning Theory. Since I've already given it away for this assignment of research, of having to research a learning theory, I selected cognitivism. So very briefly, I'm going to touch on 5 talking points for this assignment. I'm going to describe the theory, explain how the theory applies to an individual or organization, discuss how the theory can be impacted by a learner's culture, discuss any ethical implications of the theory, and explain how a learner can develop Christian values through my chosen theory. For this assignment, I have 2 scholarly journals that I will be referencing. The first one is a textbook titled Foundations of Learning Theories. And the second one is a scholarly journal titled Learning Theories of Cognitivism and its Implications on Students' Learning. So before I start, I just want to take a quote away from this article. The author's name, is Seema Malik, associated with the Salwan Public School in New Delhi, India. I found this quote very interesting, and I think it's a good place to start. Most of the human learning happens vicariously through observing others or listening to models who are live, in person, symbolic, cartoon characters through electronic medium, television, computer, etc., or print, books, magazine. Vicarious learning accelerates it and saves people from negative consequences. I wanted to start with that because I think that learning is such a critical process, of course, of development. And as we grow, we tend to learn from what we see other people go through. Some of us, those of us who like to learn vicariously versus those who have more of a hands-on approach. So I think that's just a very interesting piece of information in this article. And it definitely applies to this theory. So what is cognitivism? Cognitivism is a learning theory focused on mental processes such as memory, attention, perception, and information processing. This theory views learning as active construction of knowledge, connecting new information to existing mental structures. Some examples of cognitivism learning would be using a mind map, Venn diagram, or brainstorming to organize information, solving more problems in mathematics, or having to do critical thinking assignments in an English class, or mindful reflection of information that you've already been taught. This particular learning theory does employ 5 different theories. Those theories are purposeful learning, self-directed learning, critical thinking, information organization, and a well-sequenced curriculum. The next talking point that I want to move along to is how this theory can be impacted by a learner's culture. Well, it's very interesting because cognitivism relies on information that we already have or information from others that is being shared with us, as much of learning is. Depending on your cultural background or your association, you may be emphasized to remember certain information over another. You may be emphasized to have a different learning approach depending on the values and the upbringing of that culture. And finally, we're going to delve into how a learner can develop Christian values, such values as love, compassion, understanding, honesty, trust through cognitivism. And in short, Christianity is so much of meditating on God's word, developing a personal relationship. For those of us who have been in the faith from very young, the Bible even teaches us to teach a child the way to go when they are young, and they won't stray from that. Or as a child, I behaved like a child, I spoke like a child, but then I put away my childish things. So a lot of it relies on information that we've already had or that we're familiar with, and just building on top of that. And that, in short, is the cognitivism learning theory. Again, my name is Leah Graham. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my very short presentation. I hope that I was able to give you some piece of information that you didn't have prior to listening to the sound of my voice. Talk to you later.